West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and with me as ever is my partner in crime, Santokie Nagilendran. Santokie, how you doing?
Yeah, all good, Mash. You know, the famous saying that we penned, never a dull day in West Indies cricket, doesn't ring true again today. You know, we've got the content plan going, as regular viewers will know. We had an episode all lined up for today. We had the notes ready. We're ready to plan it, set a recording time. Had to rip that all up with a double bombshell announcement from Cricket West Indies this afternoon. First one, Kraigg Braithwaite, after 4 years at the helm as permanent West Indies Test captain, has resigned from his post. And the second bombshell, which came about a minute after the first bombshell, Shai Hope has replaced Rovman Powell as T20 international captain for West Indies. So he's now captain for both ODIs and T20 cricket. Mesh, I'm saying this is a bombshell, but you've been on record, you know, for the past few months. You said, you know, Kraigg Braithwaite's time is up as a captain. It's time for him to focus on batting. So I guess from your perspective, Kraigg Braithwaite, at least, not much of a surprise?
Yeah, not a surprise in the slightest for me. I went back into the CCP archives, and I'm so glad that we always keep receipts of things that we've done. And I went back into the archives and found a specific video. If people don't believe me, go and look at our Instagram page. Go look at our X handle, because I've reposted it today, where I literally said, this was before we even went to Pakistan, Santokie. I literally said, I think Kraigg should give it up after Pakistan. Sammy's coming in as new head coach. It's a brand new test cycle. It just made sense that Kraigg should give it up at that time. And that's nothing to do with the miracle at Multan, and maybe he would have convinced himself that he should continue. Things go in particularly in cricket. We could link it to other sports as well, but generally speaking, Santokie, now that we've got World Test Championship cycles, why would Kraigg have wanted to start afresh with a brand new head coach? He surely would have wanted to look back and gone, right, I've done 4 years. 4 years is a long time with the poison chalice, you know. 4 years of taking more L's than W's and getting a regional cuss out every time we lose. That's a long time to be a West Indies captain, right? And Kraigg can fall on his sword knowing, wait a minute, I leave with a 50%. I think I did a video on it the other day. He leaves having only lost 50% of the matches under his test captaincy since taking it permanently when they went to Bangladesh in 2021. We won away in Bangladesh, swept Bangladesh in Bangladesh, beat Australia in Australia, beat Pakistan in Pakistan. Listen, there's plenty of West Indies captains in the 21st century who can't say that. People who loads would argue and say they're better than Kraigg Braithwaite. So Kraigg leaves with his head held well high, saying, "Oh, you know what? I did my bits."
Yeah, I think before we go into, you know, speculation about next captain and all that, it's rightful that we kind of give our praise to Kraigg Braithwaite. As you said, he gave us moments. Whilst there might not have been consistency, I don't think any captain in the region could get consistency out of the current talent pool we have. But he gave us moments. I think he won 10 tests under his permanent captaincy. And like you said, the Milkwood Gabba, the Magic at Multan, the 1-0 home win against England.
Oh, England,
in 2022, defended our legacy there. So there were big wins. Obviously, Bangladesh as well. The 2-0 win against Bangladesh. When I know he wasn't permanent captain there, but that was sort of the start of his ever as captain. So he gave us moments, you know, gave us moments to be proud of in Test cricket. And Mash, it goes without saying, there's probably not another cricketer on the planet who's dedicated themselves to red ball cricket as much as Kraigg Braithwaite. He's not played a T20 match in his whole career, professional one. Played a handful of List A games, but predominantly he's a red ball exclusive player. He's represented himself well. He's shown patience. He's been good with the media. So he's been a good leader for West Indies cricket. But as you said, Mash, things come in cycle. 4 years is a long, long time, especially when you add on to the fact the first year, 2021, as permanent captain would have been done in biosecure bubbles during COVID. So it would have been even more draining as a captain to sort of lead in those conditions. And with a new World Test Championship cycle starting, it's only right, you know, that we refresh. And more importantly, Mash, I think we've seen in the last year, his form has dipped. There's no question about it. He's 32 years old. Would you want that extra burden of being a captain? It's time at this point for him to hand over and say, listen, for the twilight of my career, last 3-4 years as a test batter, I'm going to focus on pure batting, get my numbers up and help West Indies as a side. Someone else can lead as my time is done. So, Mash, at the end of the day, we have to salute Kraigg Braithwaite for the years he's given as West Indies captain.
Yeah, and it's worth reminding people as well. I always give these numbers because there's a subsection of red stripe uncles around the region who want to try and denigrate and pretend that Kraigg hasn't done good things with the bat whilst being captain. So it's just worth reminding people that in 2021, Kraigg averaged 30. This is all whilst being captain. He averaged 35. Now, some people say, oh, that's not good enough, but this West Indies we're talking about. He averaged 35 in 2021. In 2022, he averaged 62. In 2023, he averaged 35 again. The only down bad year was last year, 2024, which funny enough also included our historic win at the Gabba. But that was his first down bad year in 4 years of cricket. So as I think, as you correctly point out, Santokie, he's 32. Kraigg can play and probably still be the best opener in the region up until at least 36, you would imagine, right? So why not just say to yourself, for the next 4 years of my exclusive red ball career, because his average has plummeted because of what happened in 2024. Let me try get my average back up to 34, 35 and end my West Indies career with a 35 average, which, to be fair, Santokie, it don't look like we're ever going to get anyone averaging 35 again in our lifetime.
And you know what I thought was interesting was Dr. Shallow at the press conference today did say that Kraigg Braithwaite, after the loss in Pakistan in the first test, he offered to resign on the spot. He wanted to hand it in there and then, but he was convinced by Cricket West Indies, to see out the series and resign at a later date. So that, again, in and of itself, as much as we say Kraigg Braithwaite's a patient and mature leader, it shows you how intense the role of captaincy is, because at one point he was just ready to hand it in on the spot and said, I've had enough. So it was good for him that he managed to see it out, because we did see the magic at Multan and he finished on a high, finished his captaincy on a high. But Mash, this leads to the next big talking point. With the vice, normally in this situation, the vice captain would be front runner to take over the reins as captain. However, Josh De Silva, who was the incumbent vice captain, was dropped for the Pakistan series. Mm-hmm. So this beggars the question: who is the next candidate to take over as West Indies captain? From my perspective, there's no one obvious. There's not someone who you can bank on and say, yeah, this guy's definitely going to be West Indies captain. If it was this time last year, I would have said maybe Alzari Joseph. But after what we saw in the England series in the Caribbean, what happened on field, I don't think that would send good optics for him to be appointed captain so soon after that. So I don't think.
And let's be fair as well. Is Alzari Joseph even in our best 11?
Yeah,
all things considered. So no to Alzari Joseph on two fronts.
So if you're looking at the squad, if you take out, so you haven't got De Silva, you haven't got Alzari. If you're looking at the squad, Mash, very, very limited experience in terms of an obvious captain. So Darren Sammy was asked about this at the press conference, and he said, "Listen, we've got regional captains who are doing a good job. Some of them might be able to take the step up." He did say he's got a short list, but he played his cards close to his chest. He didn't want to sort of reveal any names and anything like that.
Yeah, he ain't got no short list. He ain't got no short list. No, he don't have a short list, because if they had a short list, they would have named the captain today.
Yeah.
If they genuinely knew who they wanted as captain, they would have had that person at the press conference today. And they would have said, and the new West Indies captain is going to be XYZ. That tells me that, I'm not saying they're panicking, but it tells me that they're like you and me right now, recording this guy, and boy, who's the best person to go for? Because as Santokie, whoever they go for, it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
There is no, and obviously people are going to cuss in the comments. There is no right choice for this next person.
Yeah, we haven't put a succession plan in place. As much as we said Kraigg Braithwaite was a great captain, we were grooming Josh De Silva, but then we dropped Josh De Silva. And so even if you take into account that comment about regional captains, Josh De Silva is captain of Trinidad, who are going for the title. So assuming he's not going to come back into the side as captain, because he just got dropped, if you're ruling him out, it doesn't really leave many options. So Mash, I'm going to present to you three logical options. Well, I say logical, three options.
I've written down 1, 2, 3. I've written down 7.
All right. Mash has got the shortlist. You might have to call Sammy.
I've written down 7.
All right, let me give you my 3 names and a quick summary of why, and then we'll go to the long list, the Machel long list. So my 3 picks, I'd say this is going to sound wild, but Tevin Imlach has to be up there. Captain
he's
of
on
Guyana.
He's on my list. Yeah, he's on my list.
Captain of Guyana, Harpy Eagles, just came in and done a solid job as wicketkeeper. I also think with wicketkeepers, because they're seen as being in the action because they're behind stumps, they sometimes tend to make more obvious choices as captain. So Imlach is a steady hand, and he's got captaincy at regional level. Shai Hope would be another one. If you're going to go outside of the pool, you go with Shai Hope and say, look, come in, he's got captaincy experience. However, I think, as we'll go on to, him being made T20 captain as well as ODI captain throws a spanner in that work. So I don't know if they want to give a multi-format captaincy to someone. And the third and final choice, Mash, I was thinking about this. You could go with Jayden Seales, similar to what Australia did with Pat Cummins. You've got our most talented player in the side. He's young. He's going to be in the test side for the next 10, 15 years. Do you give the captaincy to someone like Jayden Seales, similar to what you did with Jason Holder in 2015? Give it to a young buck and say, listen, you'll learn with the job. We know the pitfalls from that. But like I said, I'm clutching at straws, Mash. These are the only 3 kind of names that come to mind in terms of the captaincy. But let's hear your long list. I'm excited to hear this,
Yeah, Seales wasn't on my list, For you to say Seales means that we are down horrendous right now. Oh my God. What? We want to say to start. That's like Arsenal saying to Bukayo Saka, right? You're just going to have to be our captain because you're our best player.
Yeah? Hear me out. If you take Kraigg Braithwaite out of the lineup, as a candidate, how many of the players in the current West Indies side can you bank on them being there in 5 or 6 test time? Based on
none of them, and that's why.
But Seales is the only one.
Apart from you're right, Seales, right? But that's why I'm saying to you, whoever they choose is the wrong choice. Seales isn't the right choice. We made that same mistake when we gave Holder the captaincy at 23 years old and said, because you speak so well and you're well revered around the region as being a fine, upstanding young man, you should get the captaincy at 23. That was the worst thing to do. Yeah. You can't give it to Starboy.
Like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's no right choice, because even Imlach, who's top of my list, if he does become captain, you're making a man captain after 2 tests.
let me give you the long list. Right. This is in no particular order. It's just the names I can think of. First on my list, and this doesn't mean it's my first choice, Jason Holder. Now, to think about it, right? He's got captaincy experience. Obviously, I would expect Holder to say no. Why on earth would you want to take it back again? But I'm looking at captaincy experience and who could take it in the short term. But the question we have to ask ourselves, Santokie, is when you start a new test cycle, does he want a short-term captain, or does he want someone in it for the long haul with him? If it's the latter, it can't be Holder. If it's Kraigg has quit, I just need someone for now, then I'm not ruling out Holder. The reason why I would say no to Holder is he's in that stage of his career now where he wants to pick and choose when he does play test and when he wants to play T20 bagman money. So bagman cricket. So I don't think that's an option, but I don't think it's likely, but it's an option. My second choice, Kemar Roach.
But you're not picking Kemar Roach for every test, though.
I know you're not. But again, it goes back to my previous point about if Sammy's kind of like, boy, I've got no options, then you almost have to go to Roach as based on just pure seniority and having been around for long enough and the fact that we don't have anyone else as an option, they may, I doubt it, because Roach is set to retire soon, but they may turn to Kemar Roach and say, well, boy, maybe it's just Roach till the end of the year till we can figure out what we're doing, right? Okay. Third option, Alec Athanaze. Okay. Now, remember, Alec is captain of the Windward Islands. That doesn't mean that I don't think Alec should get it, but if you're going to raise Imlach's name, you have to raise Alec Athanaze's name, because Alec's also a captain. And more importantly, Alec has 13 test matches behind him. That's still not enough, but it's more than Imlach.
He's a veteran out here in this.
Yeah, he's a real veteran in the side. So they might do that craziness where they're like, we recognize Alec Athanaze's ability whilst he's yet to completely fire. We want to build the side around him as he leads the next generation of the West Indies team. It wouldn't surprise me if they came out with some kind of rhetoric like that, right? So there's an outside shot they go with Alec, even though his place in the team is not secure. Like you, I've got Shai Hope on my list. Now, people will say, how can somebody come from outside with no significant red ball cricket in the last 4 years and suddenly captain a side? And all I will say to that, Santokie, is we did that with Kyron Pollard, though. Remember when Pollard came back into West Indies cricket in 2019 under Phil Simmons to captain our white ball sides? Pollard had been persona non grata for what? Like 4 years, 3 years or something like that. And Pollard came from out of the wilderness to come and captain side. And it led to a regional cuss out, but everyone accepted that it was the right, well, not everyone. Eventually people accepted it was the right thing to do because of Pollard's captaincy now. So as one of the few genuinely good captains in the region, right? They could use that justification for Shai Hope to do it.
Yeah,
because he's also captain of our white ball sides. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good idea for Hope to be captain of all 3 formats. In the same way, it's probably not a good idea for Sammy to be head coach of all 3 formats. But it is what it is. Yeah. Where like beggars can't be choosers, right? Alzari Joseph was on my list, but obviously after his down bad, horrendous behavior last year, he shouldn't even be on the list. But I might as well put him there. Imlak was on my list, and then my final person on my list is they have to call back Josh Da Silva and put him back in the team.
Yeah.
And again, some people cuss, but maybe Santokie, they call him back and put him back in the team as a batter. It don't really matter to me who keeps out of him and Imlak, but they just spent what? How long did they spend grooming Da Silva as well?
What, Mash?
How long did they spend grooming Da Silva?
Mash, you can't be telling me we're gonna drop a man in January, and then the next Test series, my man's walking out Kensington Oval with the blazer doing the coin toss. Do you know how wild that would be?
But then, what were we grooming him for then? What was the whole point? What then was the whole point of making Josh always be the captain of the West Indies A sides and be Craigg's vice captain? Yes, he got dropped in Pakistan, but what was the point of all of that? If not to prepare him for captaincy?
Oh, this is West Indies cricket. There's no point. The one thing I will say is Sammy does have a get out in that he can go to Josh and be like, "Listen, I'm the new head coach. That was Kohli's decision to drop you. I want you back in as captain." I think it's very unlikely, but as you said, Mash, when we've limited options, we have to go with sort of what's available, and I think that's a logical list you've got there. But again, it's how much confidence that inspired. That 2 of those, like we've got Jason Holder calling back Jason Holder, calling back Josh Da Silva, or handing it to 37-year-old Kim Roach to take over the reins. So,
do you see my point? No matter who you pick on that list, that it's a regional cuss out. No matter who it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a regional cuss out. There's no win. I think we'll get a massive hint when West Indies, in just over a month's time, the A-team tour against South Africa. I think whoever's captain there has a good chance of becoming West Indies West Indies Test captain. But yeah, as you said, anything. There could be a name that we haven't thought of, and Sammy's got that guy penciled in. So
who would that be though? Who would that be? The only name I can think of that we haven't said is like it'd be somebody else from outside, and no, surely not. Because the only other name I could think of was like they bring in Brandon King and ask him to captain, but that would be absolutely ridiculous as well. Like no matter what they do, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Sammy must be fretting, because this is why I think it's got to be Hope. Because you might as well go all in on Hope and just be like, well, boy, he's already the white ball captain, so I might as well just make him red ball captain, because at least
would Hope take it though? Would Hope take it?
I don't think he would. I don't think he would. But the point is, at least if it's Hope, regardless of whether people agree or not, you can at least see a logic behind it.
So the thing is, right, let's get into this. This is a good pivot then. Let's talk about, obviously, Shai Hope announces the T20 captain, taking over Rovman Powell. You know what? In my head, it seemed like Rovman Powell wasn't captain for long, but it was exactly 2 years. So it was a substantial reign he had as captain. So, Mash, for me, this changes things with Hope and his Test cricket, because now he's T20 captain. He has to play every T20 match, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about the last series he played against Bangladesh, he dropped out to play in the Big Bash. So automatically his schedule is going to be a lot more tighter if he wants to get franchise bags as well. So if you're thinking of playing Test cricket and becoming captain in there, I just don't think all of that is feasible. We talked about how unsustainable it would be for Darren Sammy to do red ball and white ball. As a player, it's going to be 10 times harder for Hope to do red ball, white ball, and try and get a franchise gig. So going back to it,
but remember, he's got a West Indies multi-year contract.
Yeah, that's the thing. So
why did they give him? Why did they give him? Maybe the whole. Well, So who's got the multi-year contracts again? Him, Brandon King, and Jaden Seals. One of them three is going to be captain. Maybe your Jaden Seals. Maybe your Jaden Seals shout wasn't even that crazy.
Listen, Hader in the back might have to clip that. Me calling Jaden Seals out of nothing. But yeah, so Hope's an interesting one, Mash, because obviously since the World Cup, Rovman had a great 2023 with the T20 side. We were defeating all comers in bilateral series. Obviously, World Cup, we fell short of a semi-final place. And then obviously culminated end of the year with the 3-0 loss to Bangladesh in T20 cricket, which I think sort of made the decision for Sammy that I need to get someone fresh in as captain. It was interesting in the press conference. Sammy said Rovman's improved the team, but they need someone who's going to win titles. So that was interesting to me because in terms of T20 cricket, there's only one title you can win, the World Cup. So he's essentially saying Shai Hope, who didn't have a permanent place this time last year in the T20 side, is the man to now come into the T20 side and essentially be their best shot of leading them to a World Cup glory in India in 2026. Let's get your overall take, Mash. What do you make of the appointment?
Yeah, so in the Caribbean Cricket Podcast Discord group, there's been quite a bit of consternation about this decision. And I'm not bothered at all. And the thing is, this is how you know that I don't do insularity. As a Jamaican, I couldn't care less that Rovman's lost the captaincy. I don't see what the big fuss is about it. And by the way, well done to Rovman. He took over when we were like 9th in the world. And by the time we got to the World Cup, I think we were ranked 3rd or 4th in the world. Granted, I warned people before that World Cup that we'd beaten quite a lot of B teams in the run-up to that World Cup. And I tried to warn people about all of that. But we have to remember, Santokie, in our last 3 T20 series, didn't we lose? We lost to Bangladesh, unprecedented, 3-0 swept by Bangladesh at home. England beat us, I think, 3-1 at home. And I think Sri Lanka beat us away. So actually, not that I'm saying that should matter per se, but let's not try and be some revisionists and pretend that Rovman was winning all the time. Our last 3 T20 series were L's. Am I right about that? It's definitely Bangladesh and England. Did we lose to Sri Lanka before England? I think off the top of my head.
2-1. Wasn't that the 2-1 where Sammy said we got the moral victory because they changed the pitches or something?
Yeah, but I think it was the ODIs. But did we also lose the T20s as well?
Yeah,
we probably did.
Both. Yeah.
Right. So the point is, right. So Rovman's been captain of 3 series defeats in a row. I'm not saying that means he should lose the captaincy, but don't be surprised, Santokie, if there were elements within those 3 series, right? So between Sri Lanka, England, and Bangladesh, add those games up together. We played 1 game was washed out versus England. So that's 3-4. From 10 games against Sri Lanka, England, and Bangladesh, we won 2 matches, right? Now, don't be surprised if in those last 3 games, Sammy looked at him and was like, we're missing a cutting edge. And if he's decided that the missing cutting edge is he needs a bit more of a, whether it be a tactical, whether it be an aggressive captain, whether it be someone he thinks that is more in tune with the approach he wants to take in T20 cricket, then who are we to say that he shouldn't have made the captaincy change? And let's also remember, Santokie, the ODI team has improved in the last 12 months with Shai Hope as captain. So I've just looked at it as, right, Sammy's looked at what's happened with the ODI side. We've become a far more competitive ODI side. That's under Shai Hope's captaincy. He probably likes how Shai's gone about executing the plans on the field in ODI cricket. He's not liked, possibly, how Rovman's gone about executing plans in the last 6 months or so. And he's just said, well, why don't I just have the same captain? Now, some people say, though, sorry, I'm talking a lot here. Some people say that Shai's spot isn't secure, but I think it is. Like, Shai's T20 game has exploded to the point now where he's wanted in franchise tournaments. So I'm not even buying this notion where people are like, but Shai can't make our T20 side. Yes, he can. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Shane makes the T20 side coming in at 3. And I think against England he opened, didn't he, with Lewis? I think for some of it. But yeah, I think even if you look similar to the Test side, if you look at that T20 squad, there's no other obvious candidates either to take over in terms of experience and having that leadership quality. Pooran's already given up the job. The other only obvious candidate I would think of, very, very short term, is Dre Ross, but I don't think he would want that captaincy burden. But other than that, there's not really anyone who sort of stands out as leadership material. So I have no real issues with Hope taking over. As we said, he's proven to be an astute captain in ODI cricket. So Sammy's just hoping, he can transfer it there, and they seem to have a good working relationship. So I think from Sammy's point of view, it makes sense. But he's already, put big expectations on Hope by saying he's the man who makes a difference and who can make the difference for West Indies winning that World Cup next year. So yeah,
have you seen the Bravo cuss out?
No, which one?
DJ Bravo was posted a cuss out in the last 20 minutes or so. So he's written this on.
Go on.
Listen, the regional cuss out's only just beginning, Santokie. Bravo's written on his Instagram, West Indies cricket. This is about Rovman Powell losing the captaincy. Once again, you guys prove to the people of the Caribbean and the cricket world that the injustices towards players continues. As a former player and as a fan of West Indies cricket, this is easily one of the worst decisions ever. Rovman took over the captaincy when our T20 team was in 9th spot and was able to move us up to 3rd spot in the rankings. And this is how you guys repay him. The bad treatment towards players. When will it stop? This is so sad on all levels. Make it make sense. Shake my head. Justice for Rovman Powell. Santokie, your reaction.
You know what's funny about that? What franchise is Rovman Powell at?
Oh, right. That's the first thing that went through my head as well.
They were probably sitting next to each other when he did this.
That's literally the first thing that went through my head when I read it,
So there's obviously, they're both at the Calcutta Knight Riders, for those of you who are unaware. And so, yeah, obviously, Bravo's probably been speaking to Rovman. Rovman probably vexed, and Bravo said, listen, I'm the veteran out here, man. I'll do a cuss out for you and then post it on social media. And once DJ posts something, it gets the region talking.
It's going viral. That's what I'm saying. It's going viral. It's going to be reported in Trinidad Press tomorrow. We're lucky that Rovman's not gone on Instagram to cuss out.
So as we said, Mash, never a dull day in West Indies cricket. A lot of changes, ahead of the year. The Sammy era, he kept making a joke that he officially starts tomorrow, 1st of April. You can already see, the big changes are coming, and we await to see what else happens. And so I think we said we'll keep it short, nice and concise. Get the people talking. However, we always get a lot of comments on these videos, often hundreds of comments. So down below in the comments, can you let us know who should be your first choice to be West Indies Test captain? Realistically, I don't want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Let me read them the long list. So, people, this is our CCP long list. Who would you have? And no explanation. Well, if you want to put an explanation, put an explanation. This is the long list: Jason Holder, Kimar Roach, Alec Athanaze, Shai Hope, Alzari Joseph, Tevin Imlach, Josh De Silva, Jaden Seals. Who should be the next Test captain for the West Indies cricket team? Please comment below, people. Like this video, share this video. This is the only channel that you need to watch about this particular piece of news. Subscribe to the channel and support financially the channel. Head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Any last words, Santokie?
No, Mash, as we said at the top of the show, we had a planned episode for this, but we thought, emergency pod time will do this. So this just means there'll be more content coming along in the week. We've got an IPL special where we're going to take a different look at the IPL this year. We've also got another video looking at the Test side. A lot of content coming up. Mash, what day are you doing your mashup, your live show?
Hey, I'm doing about 1 hour.
Oh, 1 hour. So dedicated fans, you can come back. By the time this drops, Mash will be doing a live show. So
So people need to watch this, then come to the live show and have your cuss out about whatever you want to cuss out about.
But yeah, that's been all. As always, comment, like, follow, share, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. What else we got there? Facebook. And I think, as you said, Mash, the big one, Patreon. Any little helps. Patreon.com/Carib Cricket. We got a big trip coming up to Ireland. We're hoping to fund ourselves to do content out in Ireland. So any little donation helps on Patreon, and your continued support.
We should, We should actually do a GoFundMe. Carib Cricket Caribbean Cricket Podcast has been like providing the whole region with top quality stuff for going on 5 years now, nearly 5 years. All right, we're going to do a GoFundMe, you know, help us with the island people. Come on, man. Come on. Let's set up a GoFundMe and see if you can. I beg you fund us our plane tickets. It only costs like £69.
And you know what? We'll be, if we don't do content on that island series, you're not going to hear nothing. There's going to be nothing out here. No one's going to know what the results even are for
That's
that
what
match.
I'm saying. On a serious note, though, people, in the comments below, let us know, would you contribute? If we put up a GoFundMe, this sounds ridiculous, but I'm actually being serious. If we put up a GoFundMe for us two to get to Ireland, would you contribute, yes or no? I reckon people would, you know, Santokie. I just reckon they would.
Might as well try it. You know, we need to get out there, whether it be by plane or boat. You know, we've got to try and get out to Ireland. You know, funds are looking a bit low at the moment, so we might have to swim at this rate. So let's see how it goes. But thank you all, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to this, whatever time it is in the world. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back very soon with some more content. Take care.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.